back with more Angel. This is episode 19 of season 5. Very excited, as always, to see what's going to be happening next. Last episode was a really emotional one, actually. I loved kind of what they did, bringing Connor back into the mix and restoring not only his memories, as we saw by the end, but Wesley's as well. And hopefully we're going to maybe explore a bit of the impact of that in these next couple, because we have 4 episodes of Angel left, which is nuts. 4 episodes of Buffyverse altogether. I'm going to be watching 19 and 20 now, so I only have one more Angel watching session left after this, and then I'm done, which is terrifying. But I'm really excited to see where the story is going to progress and what our focus is going to kind of turn to. I would like an episode of maybe dealing with the whole gun situation, because he kind of, he's still suffering a bit. So maybe it's time to directly address that after our Connor-centric one last time. Maybe they're going to do something else. You can never really say, can you, with these sort of things. Maybe it's all a flashback episode to when the whole gang went to the beach. I wouldn't be against it. I'm a sucker for a beach-based episode, so why not? Someone's going to get stung by a jellyfish, and then someone's going to have to pee on the wound, even though that's a myth and it doesn't actually work, I think. I'm looking forward to the hijinks. I'm sure I've correctly predicted what this episode's going to be all about. So, yeah. Do I need to, even bother watching it? No, because I know what's going to happen. But regardless, we should probably give this a go anyway. So, without further ado, let's get into the next episode. Oh, shit.
Can't leave this dimension unless someone else puts on the necklace. It takes my place.
Can he put it on? You have to do it to yourself. Oh wow. Wow. What a fate for him.
If we could just find some way to integrate her, to convince her to do what?
It would be a pretty powerful player to have on your side.
Gun. Illyria.
Donkey. Oh, he's been put off jewelry for life.
I stabbed you.
It's bizarre that it was so weird to see... Yeah, you should apologise for that. I was going to say, it's weird to see Gunn not in a suit, when once it was weird to see Gunn in a suit.
I ain't looking for a sorry. Don't know if I'd accept it. Besides,
Fair.
I just got my heart cut out of my chest every day for 2 weeks straight. A bit odd.
Wesley, when did you last sleep?
I suppose.
You're walking like you're Gollum.
She still thinks she's the god king of the universe. So she's like a TV star? No, nothing that bad.
Wow.
You had affection for it. For Fred.
Tons. Love the bird.
Yet you strike at her form without sentiment.
You ain't her.
Yeah.
I can see it.
He wants to talk to Spike? Oh wow, progress.
You may go.
He must really savour fights after being non-corporeal for a bit.
Got her winded at least, didn't I?
Uh-oh.
That's right, little Shiva. Reckon you'll think twice next time.
Oh, well that makes me nervous.
Angel wants me to start tailing Illyria, keep tabs on her. And get a little walkie-talkie and everything.
Oh.
Cooped up in there all day, jittering like a bug on a hot plate, obsessing over every single tidbit he can find on Illyria. What's Angel say about it? He's not very talky these days either. It's Angel. Some point of vulnerability. You want me to find a way to kill her. You got a problem with that? No. Good, because we got more than enough problems to worry about.
Boy.
Yeah. For example, what about the apocalypse? Illyria destroyed 11 torture units before she found your man, 2 troop carriers, ice cream truck, and 8 beautifully maintained lawns. Not to mention dozens of employees rendered useless to the company.
It's got to be against some law and order.
It's business, boys. Not a bad cave.
But what if it were a bad cave?
Still like him better than Eve.
Me too, actually.
You're my betrayer. When you shattered the window of Orlon, you meant to change the past. To rewrite your history and the history of this body.
And
Instead, I brought back more painful memories.
Yeah.
Perhaps I'm only bothered because I'm bothered.
That sounds very close to human.
Making business go smoothly for a bunch of hideous, scaly, evil clients?
Excuse me. I'm here about the Demon Pact.
As our client, we have to advise you.
She's not your client. We are.
Oh, hello. It's the gentleman's cousins.
You don't look altogether well.
No, she was a bit weird earlier as
Your
well.
opinion of me weighs less than
Is that why she's all like human-y? Oh, there we go.
Illyrian, Wes, do it now.
Oh. Oh, okay. So she's like seeing the future, or she's all over the place. I mean, same mood.
You tried to murder me.
Yeah, that's where you're the betrayer.
Again.
What? Bluebird
Oh my
is in
God.
flight.
Coffee, tea. Got blood.
What's he doing in there with the holy vessel?
And a variety of organic colas.
We'll try an organic cola.
I like these guys. I may regret that.
He was hurt at work. Brain damage, doctors say.
Oh
Incurable.
boy.
We're scraping by on food stamps and disability.
Wife, kids, all the icing on the family cake. But somewhere underneath it, there was the nagging certainty that it was all lies. That all the smiles and the birthday candles and the homework were just there to hide the horror. Well, the partners know her, Wesley. Yes, they go way back. They don't want her here.
Oh dear.
They don't want her anywhere at all. You might want to try taking a look at the low emanation scanner readouts. Just a thought.
Oh, they really want her gone.
Third trimester. Any more
God.
shortness of breath? Well,
It is literally 3 demons and a baby.
And on the eve of his 13th year, he will be prepared for the rites of Gordabach.
That's what? Like a bar mitzvah?
a lovely gift.
Amanda,
Oh
it's
dear.
a ritual sacrifice.
Who's liar? I am.
You will speak to me. My death won't permit your time. What have you done to me?
Get your damn hands off me.
Oh God.
You don't know. Not yet. It's too early.
I was gathering that.
You gotta keep your thingy unfinished to work, okay? Oh, that's mature. It's as if the human part of her can no longer contain the demonic power within.
I'm thinking that she cracked her engine block, and now she's leaking petrol all over the building.
She's going to self-destruct violently and soon. The crack in her engine block may give us a chance to get to her. This is
Aha.
an Atari generator.
Well, that's the problem. You don't always see it.
Illyrian, Wes, do it now.
Well, that can't be real. Oh, well, this can't be real. Or they're going to undo it. Or... But she's going to find a reason to have to undo that, I would assume. Or the next 3 episodes are going in quite the bold direction.
Alright?
Oh my God.
No, not all right. What the hell did you do to me?
Angel.
You weren't here before. How do you unweave time in this way?
This isn't us. We don't have the power to...
Oh, heck. I am confusion.
You were the muck at our feet. We called you the ooze that eats itself.
New Twitter bio.
You were last.
Why?
You know nothing of this.
Neither do I.
You're from an earlier point in the timeline. But you... trapped in the web of the wolf, the ram, the heart. So much power here.
Words I recognise at last. Oh!
So what sort of damage are we looking at if Illyrian Chernobyls on us?
Oh, and now are you taking the place? Oh! What is going on? I'm so confused.
The white-haired one first.
Don't always see her when she's bugging off.
You know what happens? I know you kill us all.
Bit
pessimistic, aren't you? You shudder. No one is murdering you. This device won't kill you.
What? You said I lied.
Oh.
Illyria, this device will draw the energy away from you safely. It will allow you to live. But now I know you're all that's left.
You want to take my power. To let me live. But I am my power. And I would rather be a titanic crater than to be like unto you.
Can you give it a try?
I'm fighting to hold on to what you were. It's destroying you.
You need to change with the times.
You would do this to me.
I'd try anyway.
I blame this on the weakness of your species.
Fair enough.
So that just, is that like depower her?
Touch me and die, vermin.
Well, she seems fine.
She won't be stopping time. Or walking through dimensions.
Oh.
And I suspect her physical strength has decreased somewhat.
Oh, okay.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Then we could have just kept Fred, I'm just saying.
I don't like where this is going. I don't like where this has been. For some reason, I need it right now. Yeah, that's just weird.
It's something for him to focus on, isn't it?
We are forces of nature.
Done. Baby belongs to the Fel.
What? What are you doing? What we're supposed to? Serve our clients.
Needs to stay in their good books. Okay then. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was very good. I'm gonna need to rewatch it. I think because the whole as soon as the second half really kicked off and it was all, wibbly wobbly timey wimey, time loopy stuff. Trying to put all the pieces together. There, I'm kind of trying to wrap my head around it. I'm confident that I think it's probably quite cohesive and makes sense, in terms of what was happening. And I didn't quite get why Angel ended up going along with her. How did he get caught up in that? I'm sure they explain it, but I'm just I mean, I've just seen them all die, so I was a bit I'm sorry. So I probably just need to kind of, fit all the pieces into place with that. But I feel like I actually took some time in between. It took about 15 minutes to just kind of sit on this episode and think about okay, so that happened because of that, and that happened because of that, and it's because she's holding on to the idea of who she was, and that was destroying the body or something, and made her explode. I didn't quite know what caused this. Was something doing this to her, or was it they said, she was just holding on to who she used to be, and that was causing her body to deteriorate? I don't know why a mindset would do that. So it was just trying to get my head around all of that, and I'll try and get everything straight in my head. But I do enjoy time loopy kind of esque stuff like that, and trying to piece it together. For me, anyway, I think is the fun of it, trying to work it all out. Because I can't imagine how unbelievably hard it must be to write episodes like this, where you kind of have to put things together, and you might write scenes a bit later on in the episode first, so you can then reference them earlier on, or do you just write the scenes in order and then be okay, I need to make sure that she mentions that particular line about plankton or whatever later on, so it's a callback? And how do you even write stuff like this? I find it incredibly interesting. I love sit down and just listen to a writer who's written an episode like this to kind of talk about how their process, writing it, and how they kind of structure it all together so it tries to flow in a cohesive-ish way, how they make sense of it. Because I don't know if we necessarily need to understand everything yet. I don't know if the characters need to either. Because for all I know, some of the things they've set up in this could be further explored in the next 3 episodes, that I've completely kind of missed. Why didn't they address this or address that? Exactly why this happened to Illyria. Maybe that's a reveal to come in future. They said the senior partners are aware of Illyria. They have a history with her. They wanted her gone. Maybe they did something, or maybe it really just was her mindset that was kind of, causing her body to break down. Which I think I can still see the sense in, because that just shows just how powerful she is, or was, and why they need to undo that. And I get them powering her down, because how is anything going to be a threat if you have someone like Illyria on your side? That being said, if you are just going to power her down and take a lot of that away anyway, what's the point of bringing Illyria in? It's kind of how I'm feeling. That's, also coming from a place of, I miss Fred. I do like Illyria as well. I think is a very interesting addition and a very interesting character. Almost would have preferred it if it was just a new addition and we still had Fred. But again, that's coming from a place where Fred was my favourite, so of course I'm going to say that. But I was like, at least they're doing something, vastly different. But now she's depowered. I'm sure she's still quite strong and stuff. She can hold her own against Angel and Spike and stuff like that. Maybe she's still a bit more powerful than them. But, all the cool powery stuff, it seems, is gone. So I'm just kind of like, okay, but why did you bring her in then? If a couple of episodes later, you're just going to bring her down to everyone else's level. It seems a bit weird to me. But again, that might make for an interesting thing for her arc. I have to wait and see what they do with the next 3 episodes. So that's my question with that right now. It does feel a bit like, oh, okay, bit weird. But you can also understand it from the point where, you need things to be a threat. So you can't just be like, well, we've got Lyra on our side now, so just punch their head out and sorted. Let's move on. Just punch those 3 demons in the face and they explode and hooray! Let's go on with our day, and pregnant lady can, put her child up for adoption, which is probably, the better way of going about that if they couldn't afford to raise the child and stuff. And obviously her situation was incredibly bad. But yeah, don't sign it over to some demon cult who'd worship it for 13 years then kill him. But again, she didn't know that side of things, and Illyria kind of interrupted Gunn trying to explain that. But yeah, it was just kind of a lot. They threw a lot at you. Like right from the off, they kicked the episode off with Illyria just coming in and getting Gunn out of that thing. I thought it would be a whole episode of trying to save Gunn and getting him out eventually, but that was the pre-title sequence. And then you have this whole thing with Illyria and, time looping and all sorts of stuff, killing people and undoing that, and then depowering her, all the lies that kind of came with it. Gunn trying to integrate back into the workplace as well, and trying to deal with life after 2 weeks of literal hell. So yeah, I quite actually, I appreciated that. Normally it might be a complaint, but it felt like 2 very separate episodes to me. It felt like pre-time loop and then post-time loop, 2 completely different things. But I think you needed that first half of the episode to really understand the situation with everyone and kind of see how they're all coping right now. Gunn not coping very well. Wesley really not coping very fucking well. Angel, I think a lot of his frustrations again about things were coming out in this episode. I don't know if the ending with him is just like, what, screw this, I give up. Let's just do our jobs here. Or he's like keeping up appearances to try and please the senior partners and please Marcus and kind of keep them at bay while he still does his own sneaky shit. I'd like to think that's the case, but it's not like Angel hasn't given up before. And I don't think Cordelia is going to be sent back to try and get him on the right path again somehow. So I don't know. I'm guessing where that was going, but again, they were kind of showing his frustration with things early on, as they often do. Spike's just still living his best life. Just he enjoys the physicality of the fighting with Illyria, and I like in a sense that it was actually Illyria kind of testing one of them out, because she kind of had her own motivations for doing different things, which I enjoyed. And yeah, the fact that she was the one to get Gunn out of that situation, and he was, Gunn was kind of saved from the way he'd punished himself for what happened to Fred by what happened to Fred. I think there's some nice irony to that. So that was fun. I kind of wish they delved into that side of things a bit more. But again, there's still 3 episodes where we could potentially go into that. Especially, Gunn was kind of bewildered by Angel's actions at the end there. So I'm sure that's going to be more of a thing that they can explore, and they can kind of maybe bring, his feelings about the whole Illyria situation into that conversation as well. But maybe Illyria will just be part of the conversation now if she's depowered, and maybe she's just gonna, join in the fun. I don't know. I mean, she might resent them for doing that, but isn't maybe a necessary evil, because otherwise she would have just died. Or, well, she was resenting them all anyway, wasn't she? Because I think she rescued Gunn more as like a bargaining chip to try and get what she wanted, but then the whole time loopy stuff started happening. So it's interesting kind of parallels, I think, between the two of them in this one. Starting off with her saving him from his punishment for what had happened to bring Illyria into the world. But then, things were kind of happening to Illyria out of her control. She was seeing these snapshots of all these decisions, and she made, potentially wrong judgments and accusations because of them. She just assumed that Wesley decided to kill her, even though all along he was just planning to actually steal her powers. But he knew lying to Angel would be how he would achieve that. Just everyone lying to each other. And then, Gunn at the end as well. Some actions that he couldn't control, and someone's making the decisions for him. Angel's just like, look, we have to serve our clients. And, setting up a baby to be sacrificed in 13 years. I mean, Angel could just still go off and just save the child, next week or something. I don't know if it's necessarily him just trying to make the senior partners happy or whatever. It could be that. But yeah, it's all a bit of a mess with that, really. But I did like seeing Gunn be saved and see him integrating back into things. I like that he wasn't wearing the suits and stuff, because I think he's just like completely switched off from this life now. He wasn't making any deals because the last deal he made at Wolfram and Hart didn't particularly go well for him and Fred in particular. So there's that. And he had that big pile of files to work through, and he just doesn't have that enthusiasm for it then. And just as he was kind of getting that enthusiasm back, trying to find some clauses and stuff in the contracts to try and save this baby from being sacrificed, Angel then steps in and kind of snatches that opportunity away from him. And yeah, he wasn't wearing the suits because I don't think he doesn't fit in that setting anymore because of everything that's happened. Maybe this just isn't the place for him now. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see where that could lead. But I'm glad at least they gave us a scene with Gunn and Wesley kind of talking through the fact that Wesley kind of stabbed Gunn a bit. And he's like, well, I've had my heart cut out for every day for 2 weeks and kind of past that at this point. But I did enjoy that he kind of said to Wesley, I don't really want your I don't want you to ask for forgiveness or anything. I'm not sure I'd give that to you. Which I think is fair. I think Gunn does have the right to be a bit pissed at Wesley for stabbing him. I mean, it's a thing. It's a very complicated thing because it wasn't Gunn's fault exactly what went down to Fred. It was just an unfortunate set of circumstances and him just assuming it would be someone he didn't care about that got fucked over. So yeah, all of a big mess, but I did like some of the focus being on Gunn, particularly in the first half of the episode. And I do think there's almost an unspoken connection again, like what the episode was doing with Gunn and Illyria, kind of paralleling them in a few ways. And the fact that he was the only one, I think, from the core team that Illyria didn't kill in those time loop things. She literally killed everyone else, apart from Gunn. Harmony is the main cast and in the crew and stuff, but she's not in the team, if you know what I mean. She's kind of an outsider in regards to that. But I meant from the core group that we've kind of had, particularly this season anyway, with Spike in the mix. I don't think she killed him. So, kind of an unspoken link between those characters again in this one, which I did enjoy. I mean, it's nice to see, you can have discussions with Illyria now from someone that's not just with Wesley, because obviously that's where she's shared a lot of her screen time with. And I'm sure we'll get more of that, because Wesley's kind of going over the edge a bit. I think him getting his memories back of, the whole Connor situation in the last episode also pushed him over the edge. So, he went a bit, oh dear. Books all over the office and a bit unhinged. I like that his hair was kind of messy for a lot of this episode. He's just, he's not really looking after himself, or probably not sleeping either. And the fact that he was just so open with Illyria about yeah, I was trying to get Fred back. It was my last ditch effort, like smashing the thing because it might have restored her. But I think this is properly now coming to terms with, you are all that's left of Fred now, even if it is just the same face. If it's just this shell, and even if he doesn't want to have that connection to Illyria because she's wearing Fred's face, I think he's slowly accepting that that's kind of how it's going to be. He's always going to be drawn to her in that way. That's why he wanted to help her out. That's why I think he just wanted to drain her powers rather than actually kill her, because then it would be there is absolutely nothing left of Fred at all. So all of that and all the kind of lies that came with it about the device that he was kind of cooking up to take the powers away. So I did like kind of just checking in with everyone, seeing how they're doing. And, Lorne doing some undercover work was a lot of fun. I like there was a bit of kind of comedic relief. Comedic? That was a weird way of saying comedic. Comedic relief. Comedic. Some comedic relief with him. And his scene with Gunn I also thought was really nice early in the episode. Because that then led him to just kind of tell us that Wesley's, sometimes just silent, or he's hyperactive. He's kind of like two ends of the spectrum. Angel's not really talking that much. He's kind of still a bit shaken by the whole thing, I would assume, and all of that. So I quite like the Gunn and Lorne pairing. That was a cool friendship that I wish we kind of had seen more of. I didn't even realise how much I wanted that until that scene with them. And maybe we'll get a few more interactions with them before the show's done. But I did like that quite a bit. And seeing him just be absolutely terrible at trying to stalk Illyria and his terrible, terrible disguise, the little walkie-talkie thing, I did like all of that. So it was nice to kind of have some levity with Lorne, and as is often the case with his character, he kind of brings that to some bleaker things. And then Marcus and him just still the face of the senior partners, shady stuff, kind of his standard affair with him. I don't know quite what he was after with Wesley when he went to see him. Probably just to plant the idea in his head about check the radiation thing, so he can like get on the path to what they probably wanted to actually deal with Illyria properly by killing her. But they probably underestimated Wesley's attachment to Illyria's face. So maybe they're going to keep trying, but maybe they're just going to be satisfied with a depowered Illyria rather than her still just being about. It's exactly where Illyria's character will lead now. What's going to be next for her? Will she probably join the team? Will she resent them for this even further? Who can really say? Well, you guys can because you've seen it. But I am intrigued by where all these potential things could lead. And I liked Spike just having fun trying to learn Illyria's movesets and stuff. Doesn't have to worry about the freezing time thing anymore, so there you go. He can probably have a much better time fighting her now. And I also find it surprisingly wholesome that he just like helping Wesley with the whole Illyria situation. They were just working together on it. Again, just some like little snippets of unexpected pairings. I'm like, I kind of wish we explored that a bit more. So that was nice as well. I enjoyed that. But that moment where he got dusted by Illyria, like Jesus Christ, that was a really cool kind of like, holy shit. I didn't buy it for a second, but it was kind of a cool visual to actually see these guys all dying, because it's not something we get that often. And the last time they did that, it was Fred and it was permanent. So thanks. Personal attack. I'll try not to be offended. And the other thing as well is like, you kill the female character really brutally, and now you've depowered the replacement female character. It's a situation. But I did. I felt like every character did get a good like moment or two to themselves in this one, so it was nice to see that balance. Because sometimes characters like Lorne are a bit, left by the wayside a bit. So it was nice to. I think everyone kind of had some good moments in this one. And then the side plot with Amanda and the brethren and everything. I guess that was, with that child is having choices made about it. That it has no say in, it can't decide, if the mother chooses to give it to these brethren people, or, if she chooses to raise it and stuff. It's just, again, some choices and decisions made outside of its control, so that can kind of tie into the Illyria and Gunn thread as well. And hammering home, I guess, maybe what's needed to kind of continue on with the Wolfman Heart kind of shtick that Angel has going on, is that he needs to keep up and make brutal decisions like this. Be like, okay, the child belongs to them. But again, that could just be him playing the senior partners and playing Marcus. We'll have to wait and see on that. Because, he has made some bold decisions like that and made some very dark, potentially bad choices, and then slammed 2 doors like that before, as we've seen in season 2 in particular. So I don't know if it was like a direct callback to that. It's like you're thinking, oh, is Angel kind of on the dark path again? Is he kind of giving up again? Or is it just a long way? I say a long game, but there's only 3 episodes left, so it can't be that long of a game. But I like that there could be some speculation there, and there's room for it. And I think the designs of the Brethren people are quite fun. I do like it when they have these like really coolly made up demons and really neat designs. And then they just act like really casually about stuff and like, oh, how's our little one doing? And they're talking about, baby plans and supplements and vitamins and all that. There is, just the kind of bizarreness of it. I think that humour always really works for me. So I did like that a lot. Even if they do plan to sacrifice a 13-year-old, which isn't great. But there was kind of a likability to them, which was interesting. And, before, when it's come down to... this is the client that they're representing. They're clearly horrible and evil, and they're just nasty to everyone. There's not really any redeeming features. They're not particularly likable. You're like, okay, well, they clearly shouldn't be representing these guys. We don't want them to succeed. With this one, I felt there was a bit of likability to them, and this is kind of just their religion, I guess. This is the normal thing for them to do, is to worship and sacrifice children, I guess. So I think that just leans into the morally grey thing of the people they're representing. They're not really doing a good thing, and you kind of don't want it to happen, but you can still kind of enjoy their presence and still like them a bit. It's kind of like just having a likable bad guy, really, isn't it? As the Buffyverse often does very, very well. So yeah, that's a little side story. It wasn't like my favourite part of the episode by any stretch of the imagination, but I did like its inclusion in this because it kind of ties into a bit of a story for Gunn, and some potential changes in direction for Angel as well, and the debate over is he giving up, is he not. So that was cool, and the idea of like this whole life being a lie that they talked about as well. That leads into Gunn. The thing he hated the most about that hell was the fake life that he had before he went down to the cellar, because he just deep down he knew that it wasn't real. And that kind of reminded me of Angel's feelings probably about the whole situation. I Will Remember You. Looking back on that now, it's probably quite painful because he had it, but it wasn't real. And I guess we as an audience watching that at the time knew it just wasn't going to last, because it couldn't. And then just multiple kind of potential timelines, I guess, with the whole Illyria thing. So a lot of these timelines didn't actually end up happening. So it was like, again, lives and moments of lives that end up being lies or false truths, like her assuming Wesley was always planning to kill her when he actually wasn't. That kind of situation as well. I guess Wesley's obsession, I think it kind of is at this point with Illyria, and his idea of still trying to get Fred back by smashing the thing in the last episode. It's just that acceptance that this life that he wishes that he could have had with Fred, it's not going to happen now. So I like that kind of idea as well. So yeah, that could also maybe even be what Angel's on about at the end, when he's kind of saying we have to hack the clients. That's what he wants people to think their life is now, but maybe is that going to be a lie? Because is he just playing them? Is it not? So I like themes tying all together like that. So yeah, it was a bit of a you really had to think on it, I think, and you really had to like concentrate and try and follow it as best you can. I'm definitely going to need to rewatch it. It feels like a Restless kind of situation where you need to rewatch it and kind of pinpoint everything. I need to do a rewatch of Restless at some point. But yeah, I really enjoyed the episode a lot. And I feel like it fitting like 2 very distinct episodes actually really worked in terms of what it was going for. So yeah, I just kind of need to still wrap my head around exactly how things played out and why they played out the way they did. But we've got some really great stuff with Gunn in particular. I really enjoyed that. And I like the idea of like this time loop and all these different, bouncing around and changing the timelines and all of that focus on like can Illyria be part of the team? Can she be controlled? Should she be controlled? And all of that. I am a bit mixed on the idea of depowering her, because it does feel a bit like, well, what was the point then? But still, I guess the personality is still vastly different. But what made her super different was all her powers and stuff, and now that's kind of gone. So exactly where all these different things are going to lead. I like that, you know, Illyria herself was like physically cracking and breaking apart at the seams, this whole situation of her going to explode. And there seem to also be cracks showing in the team and the relationships in there. You know, I think you can safely say that between Angel and Gunn by the end. I guess Wesley's fractured state of mind is a bit all over the place. It's a bit cracked. So, you know, I think what was happening with Illyria kind of going on there, the fact that she was like physically falling apart and destined to explode in this episode, it's probably a statement about the team as a whole and the fact that we don't have long left. That probably was unintentional at the time, because I imagine they wrote this before they got cancelled. Because I think they probably stay a few episodes ahead writing wise, don't they, as they're filming it. But yeah, maybe it's kind of just the team's fracturing a bit as well as we approach the end of the show. So maybe it's a cool reflection of that as well, which is interesting. So yeah, I think we had some really interesting stuff in this one. I look forward to seeing where we take the next 3 episodes, which is still a bizarre thought. We're so close to the end. I have no idea. Well, I have one idea of how one thing goes, which is also why I didn't really buy into everyone dying, because I'm like, I don't think that happens quite yet. But yeah, outside of that, I'm like, where is this going? I'm assuming the big like apocalypse thing will play a big factor into this, but anything can happen. It's kind of the nature of these things. I didn't get the beach episode. I must say that, you know, I was a bit wrong about my predictions for this episode. There wasn't any beach, actually. Life is a beach when you think about it. Maybe the next episode's a beach episode. One can hope. But either way, very good episode overall. Looking forward to particularly seeing how a lot of these plot threads and character threads will continue for the rest of the show, because I think that will probably give me some finalised thoughts about how I feel about this right now, because potentially some of this is setting up for things, maybe it's not. This will be a cool one to revisit, I think, when the show's done, and we can really see how it all plays out. I think that'll be an interesting thing. But for now, though, that is going to be everything. Yeah, final countdown, 3 to go. Exciting, also terrifying, but exciting nonetheless. So yes, that's going to be everything for now. And yeah, until my next reaction, thanks for watching.